Hi, Alice. Hello, what's up? Hi,
So we have
Afzal.
Haziq, we have
Wonderful.
Alice, we have Hardy, we have May. Hey guys, do me a favor. If you're gonna watch tonight, I want you guys to stay on throughout. I'm gonna promise you, I'm not gonna waste time. I know Marc has somewhere to be later. But here's the thing, right? Please stay throughout, because otherwise, if you stay a little bit, it's like watching Avengers like that. You watch a few minutes, it don't make sense. Actually, if you want to stay a little bit, then don't watch. Don't watch.
They don't.
Okay, but if you want to stay throughout, then I promise you, we're gonna have a lot of wonderful, amazing stuff that we're gonna talk about. And I think it's gonna be well worth your time. Okay, so if you're gonna stay throughout with us, you're gonna have a good time. That's what we want for you. So if 32 people watching, it's gonna be pretty epic.
Yep.
Let's go, man.
Yeah,
I got
excited.
my beer here,
So,
a little bit of beer.
your beer
right
here already. I got
man.
water, I got water. Not so bad.
All right,
Okay.
let's go.
All right, wonderful, right? So welcome, right? Welcome everyone to the today's edition, right, of the Master Mentor interview series with Melvin. So, right, so I'm so excited, right, because I've been wanting to get Melvin on a long time, right? Because you know why, right? Throughout the entire interview, and like to just get started, right, Melvin. So I think I think some of us we know you, some of us don't. Right, could we just do just a quick introduction for yourself, what you do, and right, what do you do currently, and where do you get to where you are today?
Okay, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Amanda. She says she has a notebook ready. That is a sharp gal right there. Okay, Christopher, Amanda, all these wonderful people. Guys, today's interview is to serve not myself, okay? Because why? I have a lot of marketing going on already. Today's interview is to serve Marc's audience. Everybody watching, I want you to stay on all throughout. You're going to learn a lot, okay? Definitely follow Amanda's example. Pen, notebook in hand, you're going to learn a lot. Very quickly, I don't usually spend a long time talking about myself, but very simple. I've worn many hats throughout my entire entrepreneurial journey. I quit school at age 20, 21. And from then, I've been learning from the streets, last 12, 13 years, on the streets. Right now, I get an opportunity to coach some of Asia's top marketers, some of Asia's and the world's top speakers and trainers, and some of the ones that they have education centers and some of professional salespeople. I coach multi-million-dollar people and the best of the very best. That's the ones that I coach. Not a lot of people, because there are not a lot of people who are at the top of the game. But I coach the very best, So that's kind of what I do every single day. In fact, just now.
Right. Just now, right before that, we were talking to. So, as in one thing, right? The entire interview, right, was premised around, to me, right, when I wanted to conduct this interview, was about how do you think, learn and implement like an elite, right? Because there's something that that keeps coming to my mind, right? When I think about you, about what you have been doing and everything. So I just want to start off with a quick question, right? Like, because in your academic results, right, you actually did pretty well, right? It was enough to go to some of the top universities around the world. So what made you, right? I think just for the audience out there, what made you say, okay, let's not go to university, let's not get the tried and proven path, right? But let me I think some of the things you did instead, right, was I think going giving out flyers, right, and just working for normal small time jobs. Like what was the mindset which actually got you to take that decision instead, right? And how did it help you serve you throughout?
I think the one thing is definitely courage, and probably a bit of stupidity also. When you're young, I was telling one of my coaches just now, when you're young, you feel invincible. When you're young, you're kind of dumb. When you're young, you think you know everything. So when I was young, I watched a movie. The movie's name was called Fight Club. And it was a kind of an anti-establishment movie. I'm quite anti-establishment, if it's not already pretty clear. I'm quite a rebellious type. So I didn't know what I wanted, but I know what I didn't want. I didn't know what I want. I know what I didn't want. So I didn't want to follow the traditional norm, etc. Because things need to make sense to me in order for me to enjoy it. Right? It needs to make sense. And I never quite understood school rules. I never understood society and following the entire path. And it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense that that I would have to basically go from what I call cubicle to cubicle. Don't you understand this, Dev and Marc? Very simple, right? When you're fucking in primary and secondary school, you sit on a desk that's square, correct? So square desk, Then when I was in, when you go to JC, let's say if you went to JC, right, you now have a bench, but you still sit on a fucking square desk. Then you go to uni, right? Then you have a little spot there in your fucking bench there where you study, right? You go into the school cubicle, the library, then it's a fucking cubicle. Then you go to work, right? Then you have a fucking cubicle, so roughly the size of the fucking primary school desk. Then eventually you go home to a square, which is a fucking flat, right? And then when you die, when all of this is over, they put you in a fucking square known as coffin. Quite fucked up, right? So I didn't like that. I said, what the fuck, man? Why would I want to go from square to square? And at no point in time do you call the shots, right? You go to school, you need to tuck in your shirt. Why? How does not tucking in my shirt make me an ill-disciplined person? I never understood it, right? Why specifically must I have a certain haircut? Who says when I cut my hair too long, it makes me an ill-disciplined person? Why? What if I like it? What if the way I express myself, right? So I never quite fucking understood any of these things. It didn't make sense to me. I can be very disciplined, right? Let's say I go and work out every single day. That's my level of discipline, commitment to my craft. Why the fuck must I shave my hair in a certain way? So it didn't make sense to me. But here's the thing, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I exactly wanted to do. So therefore, I kind of rebel against the entire system. But here's the thing, when you rebel, you quit. So I say, fuck it, I don't want to do it. I'm out. But then I didn't think of the next question, was that shows how immature, how short your time perspective is when you're young. Because quitting is easy. That's why I always tell people. I wrote a post recently, it seemed to go very well. Quitting is very easy. Quitting a job is easy. Just tell the boss to fuck off. Quitting university is very easy. But what you do afterwards is a true test of maturity. You see, quitting means I know what I don't want. What you do afterwards is a clarity of what you want. And usually that's when rebels fail. Because rebels usually know what they don't want more than they know what they want. Now, what is the difference between a visionary and a rebel? A rebel is very clear what they don't want. A visionary is very clear what they want.
Yeah. I love that. I love that line, man. Yeah. So, like, as in, let's go deep straight, right? So you're talking about the whole world of visionary, right? So, like, what I think a lot of people, when they want to start out about achieving the kind of life they want, right? Whether is it like quitting their jobs, right? Whether is it being an entrepreneur and all, they have the desire, right? But a lot of them actually get from the start, right? They actually have what I call that wrong sense of purpose, that wrong sense of vision. Could you just share a bit more about what's your philosophy about like how do someone go about finding his own like vision, purpose, and mission? Because there's some differences, right, and intricacies between all the different terms.
Very, very simple, right? So guys, so I see a lot of people engaging right now. Guys, I want you to do a favor also. So tonight we're going to talk about deep shit that truly comes from street university, okay? Not from fucking SMU. No offense, love them. They sponsored my first year. Give me a lot of money. Yeah. So I want you to, guys, Haziq, Amanda, Christopher, I want you to tag friends within the group, friends outside. I want them, if you can have them join Marc's group, it's going to be fucking amazing. Please engage, please tag people, have more people watching. See if we can get 100 people tonight watching the shit. So I think, so to answer your entire question, how exactly do you find the vision you want for yourself? Very simple. You never know. Not at the start, the honest truth is you need to know what you don't want. All action comes from a place of problem, or in this case, it's dissatisfaction. If you are satisfied, you never take any kind of action. So I was dissatisfied. Now I didn't know what I wanted, so I embarked on a quest. Now, when you embark on a quest, and that's the thing about young, right? One of the things that I want to kind of mention is that a universal theme, right? Tonight we're going to go deep. You want to go deep? We can go. I can go as deep as you want to be. One of the universal themes of human existence is the idea that modern man often forgets who he is, where they come from, what their purpose is. When you are born, maybe we don't get way too spiritual, but maybe you knew about your purpose before. But the moment you pop out of the womb, you forget. It's all a hazy mess. You have no idea. You forget. And the whole entire spiritual journey is a spiritual journey, or not of creation, but of awakening. Awakening means what? I remember. So when you start out, you have no idea because you're a fucking clueless mess. But what tends to happen afterwards is you start to do a bunch of things and you start to realize, hey, you know what? I think I'm kind of good at this. Then you start to connect the dots as you do more and more things. Then you start to make more sense to you. Then one day you have that moment where you awaken and you're just like, this is what I want to do. And you awaken to that. Not that you create it, but it's always been inside you. Just that you never knew it was there. It was like a diamond inside a stone. When you chip away enough stone, all of a sudden you see the diamond. That is the process of awakening. And every single person who has been successful so far has awakened. Now you awaken, the opposite, the polar to awakening is asleep. Most people are asleep. And through a process of self-discovery, doing a bunch of things, making mistakes, chipping away, they start to awaken. Awaken means what? All the stuff, all the BS start to fade, right? They stop being asleep and they become awake. That's where the word woke comes from. It's when you open your eyes and you're just like, this is who I am. This is why I'm here. This is what I want to do. I now know. And then you have a self-knowing that is far deeper than 200 seminars. You have a self-knowing that comes from deep within yourself and you're like, oh my God, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I think that's a process of maturity that everyone has to come from. But usually it begins first and foremost with a dissatisfaction. Because why? There's a diamond inside the stone. And you are dissatisfied because you kind of feel like this quite isn't it. You know, and I think that's usually where something begins. Quite a profound answer.
Yeah, it's definitely like I think we talked about like spirituality and about who you want to be, right? It's not just about the things that you do, right? But it's about the being, about what's your identity, right? So at least like for yourself, right? How do you come about to achieve getting to know that vision and that purpose and mission for yourself, like in terms of your own self discovery and your own school of hard knocks?
I think at the start, when everyone begins at the start, in myself included, you do things for very shallow reasons. You do it for pussy, you do it for profit, you do it for fame, you do it for ego, and it's perfectly okay. That is probably the reptilian brain, right? We all have a reptilian brain. The reptilian brain is the animal brain. The animal brain is concerned with procreation. That's sex and pussy. If you're a guy, that's that. Profit, power, fame, ego. These are the reptilian brains. But after a while, when you engage that for a while, you start to realize, you know what? It's pretty shallow. It's not what it is made out to be. And then afterwards, you start to seek the other P, apart from profit and pussy, purpose. You start to wonder, why am I doing this? Which, Simon Sinek wrote an amazing book called Start With Why. A lot of people don't question, like, why am I doing this? Why specifically am I running this e-commerce site? Why am I sending traffic to this fucking offer? Why am I doing this? And I think what makes humans different from animals? Very simple. Animals only have the reptilian brain. So animals' goal is survival and procreation. To live and fuck. That's all an animal does. Now, a human has a reptilian brain. So some people live and fuck. But at the same time, a human is capable of some amazing thoughts, like purpose, like thoughts of things beyond just the very basic needs, thoughts of creation, thoughts of caring for other people beyond themselves, thoughts of the future. That is what makes a human different from an animal. And at the start, your needs are always very base and basic. But as you rise in maturity, you start to think, why am I doing this? What kind of impact do I want to have? An animal does not have that kind of question. An animal doesn't think in terms of impact. Animal doesn't think in terms of legacy. Animal doesn't think in terms of abundance and impacting and changing the world. A human does. And that is what makes a human different than an animal. Now, if a person's sole purpose is fucking and making money, then you can think they are an animal. No, straight up. Because they are right there at the base level of reptilian.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. Like, so I think like a lot of people, and something that I noticed, right, like among like who I call the elites, right, like yourself, right, like Rash and Sean, like, is that they always have a purpose, right? Like they always think about how can I create a legacy, how can I create impact people, rather than just going from like pure profits and pure money and effing, like what you say, right? So like what I think for some people might just say like it sounds easy for someone who's starting out, right, who's trying to achieve like just trying to feed his family, trying to achieve financial freedom, right? So what would be some of your advice and thoughts for this group of people, right? They are kind of starting out, right? Like, is it really practical for them to start thinking about the purpose from the start, or is this something that actually go on and go a bit further?
The fact that they are starting out implies, or they're starting something, implies they're not satisfied with the way things are. They are beginning in the rebel stage. Remember, everyone starting out does not always seek a higher purpose. But that is eventually where they drive towards eventually. Everyone starting out seeks a base purpose. I want to make $1,000 more. I want to buy this for my child. I want to be able to quit my job. No, very rarely does a person start out. That's why it's called the Maslow hierarchy of needs. We all start out with survival. We aren't talking about enlightenment. If right now, right, we are being shot at, we are potentially being attacked. There is a bear that wants to eat us. Don't be fucking giving me enlightenment stuff, right? So every single person begins with survival. But once survival is taken care of, we rise up the Maslow hierarchy, right? Towards social, towards self-actualization and legacy and that kind of thing. So it is perfectly okay for a person to start out and think of their family, because you ought to think of your family when you're starting out. You shouldn't be thinking about changing the world if you are fucked. If you are broke, you have no business helping other people. And that is the fundamental key. That is ultra important. So there's no shame in doing that. I was at a place before where I was hungry for a long time. I was very hungry for a long time because I didn't know how to run a business. So that was that. So I started out there. But the more I was able to take care of my basic needs, I'm no longer at a place right now where I'm concerned about, hey, shit, man, later I order Deliveroo. Do I have money to pay? There was a time when I was in that space, right? But now that I'm not thinking of those needs, then I'm not thinking a higher level kind of needs. I'm departing just my reptilian brain, and I'm thinking in terms of what do I want to do with my life, etc., etc., etc.
Yep, I love it, right? So really start off with like the Maslow hierarchies of needs, right? About how do you feed your family, right? How do you achieve the kind of life you want, and then you move on to the purpose and whatnot. So I love that. So I just want to move on to something else that's a bit more like something that you see right now during this period. Because I think right now, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Like, I think right now you see a lot of Facebook lives going on, you see a lot of webinars going on during the whole situation right now, right? What I'm interested to find out your thoughts, right? What do you think is some of the most the most, I would say, like, let me rephrase that, like some of the advice, right, that you feel that's actually being said wrongly right now, right? What some of the advice you feel that too many people are actually not, like, should not follow, right? But I think right now you see a lot of the rise of a lot of gurus, right? A lot of people trying to conduct sharing, trying to teach and everything, right? But what do you think are some of the mistakes and some of the issues that you see right now during this period?
Okay, it's very simple, right? This is to be anticipated. We all must know that during this entire period of time, I explain this in a very simple fashion. By the way, guys, so you have Thomas, Christopher, Haziq, Amanda. Could you guys engage with me? Tag a friend. Let's see if we can get at least 50, then 80, then 100 people watching this shit. Okay, guys, if you can do me a favor, tag a friend. During this entire period, it's very simple. We need to understand that this is to be anticipated. This is to be anticipated. Why? Very, very simple reason. Okay. So you must understand the reason there are so many gurus right now that popped up is because these people are coming online as a necessity. A lot of people right now, they're suffering in terms of their job. They can't do things the way they were before. Make sense? They can't do things the way they were before. So therefore, these people are flooding all online because, you know what? Their jobs are suffering, their business are suffering, and they have to, jump online. Now, with this, you see a rise of gurus. Why? Because a lot of people see an opportunity to make a quick buck. So let's talk about both from the points of the people who are churning out content and those from the point of people who are consuming content. Now, the ones that are churning out content, very important. Now, a lot of them right now, they are looking to make a quick buck. And there's nothing wrong with making a quick buck, except a lot of them are short-sighted in terms of their messaging, short-sighted in terms of their business model, short-sighted in terms of the way they offer and deliver. The reason they're short-sighted, right, is because they're looking to make a quick buck. That's the key. You see, business success belongs to the person with the longest perspective. That's the key, the longest perspective. If my perspective, now you do investing, if my perspective is to buy and sell a stock on the same day, the way I think is very different than a guy who's buying the whole for a long period of time. Now, Warren Buffett seems to encourage people to hold for a long period of time because by that, you start to look at things like fundamentals. Now, if you're buying in and out, you look at nothing else apart from the most shallow of metrics. Does that make sense? So for anyone that has a short time perspective, the number one thing that happens, right, is they are definitely the shallowest perspective. They're looking to go in and out at the same day. Because you see, when we invest and we hold for a long time, we look at fundamentals. We look at who the management is the business model. If I'm going to sell on the same day, I don't give a fuck who the CEO is. Because I know I'm going to buy at 7 a.m. I'm going to fucking sell it at 5 p.m. Then I'm going to look at some shallow ass metrics and I'm going to make some bad decisions along the way. Because my time perspective is very, very short. So I can tell you that a lot of people, if you're going to see them appear, you're going to see them disappear just as fast. Now, let's talk about the consumer. The consumer has to be aware because the simplest benchmark is two things. Should you follow a person? Number one, how long have they been doing it? Number two, are they doing it themselves apart from teaching you how to do it? You see, Marc, one of the most hilarious things is I saw this motherfucker who sold a Facebook course, who sold a course about YouTube advertising, and his tagline was, "Did you know that Facebook ads are dead?" Now, guess where this motherfucker was selling his course? On Facebook. Now, I thought Facebook ads are dead. What the fuck you selling your shit on Facebook? Right? That's called what? Incongruent. And you know what? Tons of people do this. All the time. Tons of people do this. Makes you wonder what the fuck is going on. So if you are about to be a consumer, always ask yourself a simple question. How long this guy been doing it? Does he do it himself? If they fail both of these tests, drop it. I don't care how fucking sexy the pictures are or how much they press their kids together. Men and women are all guilty of the same thing. Stand in front of a Lamborghini, blah, blah, blah. All of these shit can easily be used by Photoshop. It's as simple as that. Okay? All of these things can be Photoshopped. But ask yourself, real substance cannot be Photoshopped. And I think you can kind of tell.
Yeah, man. So thanks for sharing that, because I think right now there's just so many people that's trying to get into the space of teaching, right? Trying to make that quick buck, right? Like you're saying, because it's really out of necessity, right? Rather than wanting to really add value, right? Wanting to play the long game, right? So could you just share a bit more about your experience in like X Factor marketing so far, and how has your business been throughout this entire COVID period? I think that's something that's so awesome to share, right? I want more people to know about it.
Yeah, we have done exceptionally well. You know, I remember this gentleman called Half Ecker a long time ago. He spoke about something called the external economy and personal economy, right? So I observe the external economy, I observe the business climate, but I don't let it influence me. Make sense? I adapt, yes, you know, I make changes, but I don't let it influence me. The reason is because my business is run according to the thoughts, the actions, the feelings, the emotions, the philosophy, the principles, the values I have. And that's the way I run my business. I don't want it to be dictated by COVID. I don't want to go into desperation just because of COVID. I don't want to go into greed because of good times. I'm a steady, calm, composed person. That's the way I want to run my business, based on values and principles. Our values and principles at the end of the day is working with the most qualified people, right? The people that we can most make an impact on. When they invest in our stuff, right? We know it's not about taking the fucking money. That is some short-sighted shit. One of the things we teach, right? You should never take money from some people that are not suitable. There are a lot of closers out there. A lot of people teaching closing methods. But here's the thing. Closing, by the way, I hate the fucking word. Okay, closing. Why? Because I don't believe it's a close. When you take someone's money, if anything, you open a relationship now. Because the moment you take their money and they are now a client, there's no close. The door's open. In fact, now you are more responsible than ever before. That's one thing a lot of people don't understand. It's not cool to just be a high-ticket closer, sell some shit and run. That's like making a girl pregnant and running away. It's a little bit fucked up. Don't you think so? Think about it, right? So there are a lot of high-ticket closers out there, but not a lot of people of high-value deliverers, right? Yes, you close your money. You take $25,000, $30,000, $35,000, $50,000. Are you around to raise this kid? Are you around to support this person? Or are you just taking the money and bail? Too many fucking people observing and just focus on closing. Not enough people observe and are paying attention to delivering, because it goes hand in hand. If you take a lot of money, but you're terrible in delivery, sooner or later, you'll be out of business. That's why this training business, the average motherfucker doesn't live for 3 or 4 years. I've been doing this shit for 13 years. Why? Because majority of them want to collect money, but they don't want to deliver. Make sense? They want to inseminate. Yeah. They want to inseminate, but they don't want to raise a kid. Yeah. Right? Now, sooner or later, you're going to run in trouble. Because someone's going to go, this is your kid, right? Are you around to pay for child support? You say, is it me? You know, so we have a lot of, this entire industry is kind of very interesting. You know, I used to be a chief copywriter at Success Resources. And I can tell you, I've been crewing at Success Resources ever since 2007, 2008. And the number of speakers that stick around, they are active, don't last more than 3 or 4 years. Why? Because majority of them have this fucking hit and run kind of thinking. And that's pretty sad.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. I think I love what you said about high ticket closers versus high ticket deliverers, right?
High value deliverers, right?
High value deliverers, right?
Because you collect money, in exchange, you got to give people value. That's the one thing that it's not fucking taught in any of these causes.
Yes, yeah. And a lot of high ticket closers out there, right? They try to teach about how to close a sale, but not actually how to deliver, right? And that's something that you guys do, right?
Selling fundamentally, right? So a lot of them are selling fundamentally things that they don't entirely believe in. At X Factor, my 3-day X Factor marketing class, one of the things I talk about is when you design an offer, I love for an offer to be congruent. Congruent means what? Number one, I buy it. Number two, I believe in it. Number three, I use it. Make sense? So let's say I sell fucking essential oil. Now, if I don't use essential oil, I'm a fucking piece of shit. What the fuck am I selling? Right? Oh, I have a great sales pitch. Now I'm an utter fraud. Make sense? That's why I'm passionately selling some shit that I don't use it. Now, look at this. If I'm passionately selling some shit I don't use, I'm a con man. Right? I'm a fraud. Make sense? Right? I say you should do it, but I don't do it. Then it doesn't make sense. If it's so fucking good, why don't I do it? Make sense? Right? So a lot of these high ticket closers are phone salesmen. And they don't actually purchase or use the things that they sell. It is disgusting. It is a scam. It is a fraud. Because they're telling people they should go and do it when they have not ever experienced the product before. And the only reason they're doing it is to make a buck. I consider it a disgrace of the selling profession and the selling art. I think sales is a noble profession. Because sales is the impartation of the value of something from one person to another. Provided that fucking shit has value. Make sense? Now, if you're selling and you're not even sure whether the thing has value, then you're a liar. You're not a salesperson. You are tarnishing the reputation of a salesperson. You are a liar. What's you see, by my definition, the impartation of value from one person to another. But now you're not even sure if the thing has value. So when you say it, you don't know if it's true. That makes you a liar. That doesn't make you a salesperson.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, man. I think thanks for bringing that into light, right? So I think Jeremy has a wonderful question, right? How do you then combat imposter syndrome, right? When you're someone who's starting out, right? You really want to add value, right, to teach and everything, but you're afraid of appearing as the fake guru, right? So what would be
simple.
your advice?
Super simple. Number one of the things I teach in my 3-day X Factor marketing class. Number one is value is subjective. Never assume that whatever you teach has any value. Make sense? Now, Marc, do you have a girlfriend?
Yep.
I don't know if your girlfriend is watching, but here's the thing. Have you ever, so I don't know if she's watching, this might put you on the spot. Have you ever bought a gift or done something for your girlfriend before that you think is very valuable, then she don't really think is very valuable? Yes or no? Tricky question, right? Right. Now, what did we learn in that moment? Yep. We learned that value differs from person to person. You think it's valuable, right? Let's say I have a girl, and let's say she likes Black Forest cake. But let's say she hates, ice cream cake. But I like ice cream cake. So I buy her ice cream cake. Then now she take a cake, throw in the dustbin. Now what does that tell you? That tells you that value differs. I think it's valuable. She thinks it's a piece of shit. Makes sense? So how do you combat this? Very, very simple. Very simple. Do not ask yourself whether your shit is valuable or not. Your shit is valuable only in the eyes of the consumer. If it helps, if it's very valuable to you, but they don't think so, then your shit has no value. Make sense? But if they can benefit, they benefit from it, they use it and they appreciate it, then it has value. So I turn my entire client base, my entire way of thinking into a client-centric model. I do not like the just build your brand and just be this kind of person model. Our goal in terms of life is not to be the most egotistical person. Our goal in terms of life is not to build the biggest fucking following. Our goal in terms of life, and this experience called life, is to serve people. Now think about it, right? Business, I serve you, you give me money. It's a fair exchange. Make sense? It's a fair exchange. So our life is in terms of service. Why are we doing this fucking webinar tonight? Right? Is it because I want to say some shit? Fuck no. There's so many things that I could be doing. Right? But I'm doing this tonight to serve you, to serve your audience, right? That's what I am doing it for. This is why I'm paying attention to whatever is happening over here, so I can answer the questions, right? Janet has a question. Thomas has a question. Guys, do me a favor. Tag more people to watch this. Not because I want some fame and fortune. Don't worry, I got already. Right? I want to serve the people here tonight. So hopefully we're able to answer some of the questions they have. So Jeremy, very simple. If you have a customer base right now, a client base, the first thing you want to do is ask them, hey man, what are some of the challenges you have right now? If I'm able to solve some of these challenges for you, would it be useful for you? And then you create those things in exchange that will give you money. Fundamental truth of business. Business is an exchange. It's very simple. Okay, business, I give you something of value, you give me money. That's it. Okay, who determines the value? Not you, me. Make sense? Ultra critical.
Wow, thanks for sharing that, because I think that's something that a lot of people who are starting out in the space, they are struggling with, right? They have no idea whether even what they are putting out to the marketplace is even of value or not, right? So I think that mindset of you never know until you put it out there, right? And then you get the feedback from the market, right? Until then that's when you can decide, right? Rather than trying to have it in your head and everything, right?
Here's the thing, Marc, very simple. If people don't pay money for your shit, that means that shit is not very valuable. Now, I'm not saying your self-worth sucks, but in terms of eyes of the consumer, that shit is not valuable. How do you know? They never pay. Make sense?
It's a simple test, yeah.
It's a very simple test, okay? You might not like it. You might say it's unfair. Well, fuck it. Then you go and do business for yourself. You sell shit to yourself, then you'll be happier, right? So the market dictates it. And the market is very fluid, Here's another thing you must understand, and you will love this example. Is value permanent? Now, is value permanent?
Nope.
No. How do you know? Look at the stock market. Not correct. Amazon stock, is it permanent? No. Tomorrow change. In fact, one thing we know, value is never permanent. Correct? Because if it's permanent, then Amazon stock should be like that, right? But no, it goes up and down. Depending on climate, depending on different changes, value either goes up or goes down. Make sense? So value is never permanent.
Wonderful, man. So like, as in, so that's something that they can. That's why they can always improve. They can always get better at, right? So, thanks for sharing that, Melvin. So I think I have one question, right, that I've always wanted to ask, right? So I think it's something I've always been asking a lot of my guests, and I would love to know an answer. So a lot of people, right? I'm sure you know, like in this seminar business, people can go for, they pay thousands of dollars in courses, programs, workshops, right? But people can achieve drastically different results, right? They can go for the same one. So what do you think are some of the differences in characteristics and traits, right, of students who actually achieve way faster, way better, way bigger results than those two that are still pretty stuck or not at the area that they will, of life that they will want right now?
Very, very simple. Number one, right, it has everything to do with a person's internal mechanisms. Very, very simple. Now, let's observe a few things, okay? So first and foremost, right, it goes down to the marketing, it goes down to the promises made, it goes down to people. Majority of a lot of this is all fucked. This is why the seminar industry has a success rate, I think, around 3 to 5% from a typical program. And when 1,000 people go there, you must understand, I've been in this industry for a long, long time. You know, since 2008, I've attended, like, crewed, because last time I got no money, so I crewed for all the seminars. So majority of it has a success rate of 3 to 5%, which means that 1,000 people take a seminar, about 30 people are going to do something about it. 970 are complete waste of fucking time. They're going to do nothing about it. It is exceptionally tragic. Why? Let's break down the reasons. First reason, some people think mistakenly in the marketing, it appears to be, right? Because that's how people sell. But there's one thing that I disqualify people from joining my coaching program if they do not understand this concept, which is simply the fact we have blurred the lines between attending a seminar and getting a result. We forget that, information times execution equals transformation. What is overly emphasized is information. What is de-emphasized is execution. Why would marketers do that? Because execution is hard, and human beings do not like to hear that something is hard. So when you read the marketing, it almost seems that just by you attending the thing, you're going to get a result. No. Fuck no. You read a six-pack book, you don't get a six-pack, right? You forgot. In fact, because when it's so like this, people believe that 99% of the success comes from attending. Attending is a passive activity. You sit and see some motherfucker on stage talking. Make sense? Now, what they forget, the marketing does not ever consider letting people know, hey man, the information is about 1%. The information is 2 to 3%. The working is 97%. And that is never stressed. So people go in with the mindset that, hey, you know what, just because I take a lot of notes, then it appears that, I'm going to get a result. No, you're not going to get nothing. Make sense? Nothing. There is therefore a pseudo feeling of success. Like, I've attended and I get it. Right? Because then the presenter's goal is to let them know, hey man, you now know it. No, you don't know it. You kind of know it. You only know it if you do it. Make sense? It's like fucking. You only know it when you're fucking. If you read about it, you don't know it. It's ultra critical that what I do majority of the time is I separate, hey, you know what? Knowing. Because why? When you come from the streets, when you do business for real, I have a gazillion books. And I used to read those books, and I didn't do jack shit with it. Then I start to realize that if I do nothing, I'm going to get nothing. And so we start to put an emphasis on action versus an emphasis on information. That is critical.
Wonderful, man. There's a huge mindset shift, right? I think for a lot of people, even myself included, right? I loved reading books, right? I love writing down notes, right? But it was only when you actually had that focus on declaring that I'm going to start doing and implementing, right? That's when really shit gets done, right? So I love that. So I think
I want to share another philosophy. And this is a philosophy. And we need to understand that life is fundamentally difficult. Life is not very pleasant. Now, first of all, you could die at any point in time. That's just reality. Number two, that every single thing that is worth doing is hard. Getting a six-pack is hard. First of all, you're not born with a six-pack, okay? Right? Next, you're not born with the knowledge or so. Then next, you got to do the work. And next, you got to keep doing the work because it's never fucking done. Makes sense? Right? You never reach a point where you're like, all right, cool, now I have a permanent six-pack. That's it, I'm done. You need to do it every day. The quicker you fucking embrace the fact that life is rather challenging. I'm not saying unpleasant, but it takes work. And it's not particularly easy also. It's not particularly easy. Then life becomes easier. But you got to understand, it is writing a book, right? It's like, it takes a lot of work. What do you think it was? Right? Correct. Of course, it takes work. Giving birth takes work. Raising a family takes work. Making $1 million takes work. And sometimes people are just like mistaken. They're very big confused. They're confused that it takes work. I don't understand. Just like, what the fuck do you think it was? Too much marketing. They think they press a button and then money comes out. I'm a bit confused, you know. But once you embrace the fact, hey, you know what? It's hard. It's meant to be hard. It's not easy. That's why so few people get it. Then you start to understand, hey, you know what? If it's hard, then fuck, let's do it. You know, it's gonna be a tough day. Let's grind at it. You know, so there's that. I think that mindset is very important.
It's very important. The thing, and I feel that why a lot of people don't really get it, right? Especially when they start out, is because a lot of marketing is made there to show that it's easy, right? It's something that's simple, right? And that's why the movement I'm trying to create, right? It's not something that is easily sexy to people, right? Because they're like, I just want to get information quickly. I just want to get the results ASAP, right? And there's a message that hopefully more people get to know about, right? Like what you're sharing.
Unpopular message. It is an unpopular message. Only a few people will truly embrace it. Even fewer will execute it. And this is why the few that execute it deserve to be successful. They deserve the money. They deserve the success. Because why? Because they are the ones brave enough, bold enough, smart enough, aware enough, mature enough to do the work consistently. This is why we want to look at a guy that's fit and go, man, that guy's body white. It's not so much that he has muscles. He's a shining example of a person that sacrificed and discipline. That's it. Right, and here's the thing, it's not particularly sexy. There's nobody. Sorry, just Gary as a guy that follows Gary V as a guy that follows him around every single day. Majority of us know that. Okay, when you go to the gym, no girl is there with a fucking pom pom going, "Oh my God, Marc, there you go." None. Okay, you're doing it. There's nobody there. It's hot. It's sweaty. You're like, "Fuck, man, I gotta do this." That's it.
Yeah, and I love the example you gave, I think last week in an interview when you were talking about how Cristiano Ronaldo, when he went back to the pitch, right, he was still as fit, over fitter than ever, right? But when compare it to Harry Kane, right, that he was actually had a freaking belly, right?
He had a belly. There's some unprofessional shit right there from motherfucker that makes millions of dollars. Come on, man, get your shit together, Harry. Like you are a professional footballer, okay? Jeez. You know.
Wonderful. All right. So I think moving on to a bit more specific and more tactical things, right? So I think especially I think today you also shared on your own Insta story about the power, the importance of routines and habits, right? So what are some of the you feel that is general, everybody should have it, right? What do you think are some of the habits and routines that people should practice on a daily basis, if they really want to be an elite, right? If they really want to be a high performer, what are some of the routines, habits, and tactics that they should practice on a regular basis if they want to get to where they want to be?
Very simple. First of all, there is nothing that you should practice. Hey guys, if you are loving this, could you comment a little bit inside? Look, I am very client-centric. So Christopher, Clement, etc. Guys, if you love anything so far, what stood out to you so far? Okay, if something stood out to you, could you type it inside? Let me know. Give me some of your comments, some of your questions. Tonight's session is for you. If it was for me, I don't know what the fuck I'll be doing. Clearly something else. You know, but if there's something that makes sense to you, please type it inside the chat. So first and foremost, Marc, right? I get that question a lot. And here is if you ask 100 people that question, majority of them will never answer the way I answer. And I'll tell you why. Because a lot of them will tell you, oh, I do this, I do that. Very fucking unimportant. You see, Marc, here is one of the great gifts I have is breaking things down from macro all the way to micro in a way that makes sense, in a deep philosophical level that is very alive. Watch, my routine is fucking unimportant to everybody else. I'll tell you why. Because my routine is an extension of the goals I have. It's like asking me what I do for my workout. Marc, if I'm a pro footballer, professional soccer player, I'm going to do exercises to lengthen my career. So that, because I'm a pro footballer, should you do it? No, you shouldn't. But you're not a fucking pro footballer. It doesn't even matter what I do. Make sense or not? So what they should always ask is, what are their goals? See, Marc, I work with people who are at an elite level. I operate in some places I have to deliver. So I have routines that bring me closer to my goals. So watch, it always should be goals first. Actions, habits, and routines. My habits and routines are done deliberately to bring me closer to my goals. It's not about a habit and routine. It's about what my goals are. If right now I was watching, if my goal right now is to do 1,000 pull-ups, the actions I need to do every day might be 500 pull-ups a day. Then my routine will be every 1 hour, I will do 20, 30 pull-ups. Now, should you do it? Fuck no. Your goal is not to do 1,000 pull-ups. My routine is unimportant. Makes sense, right? Because if your goal is, let's say you want to be a bodybuilder, you should do your exercise, not my exercise. Does that make sense? That is ultra critical. So what I want everyone to watch right now is very simple. Is first of all, you need to begin first of all with goals. The challenge of why majority of people fail is because they're copying other people's methods. Make sense? They're copying someone else's routines when they don't understand why does the person do it. They don't understand that the person is doing these things to bring themselves closer to the goal. You don't have the same goal, and you do their shit. That's why it don't work for you. You're not the right person. You're not the right body type. You don't have the right goals, and therefore you're doing the wrong thing. So what I want everyone to do right now, yes, I can share my routines in just a bit, but I want everyone right now to go and write your goals down first. Then ask yourself, in order to achieve these goals, what kind of actions do I need? Then break your actions down into what can I do every single day to better achieve these actions and get my goals. That's far more important than one of Melvin So's routines, which, by the way, I'll review it right now. Include reading every day, because one of the things I do is I coach the best around. So I read every single day. Do you have to do it every single day? I don't know. Depends what your thing is, right? The next thing also is I practice my breathing and I put myself in a calm state, right? I moderate my diet also. Why? Because I have to do webinars and give a lot of energy throughout the day. Now, if you don't have to do what I have to do, you might not want to practice any of these. This is why I think a lot of advice is challenging, because a lot of people give advice based on what they do. Right? It's like, I do this. Then you encourage a lot of fanboys and fangirls that just copy it, even though they're not the right person, don't have the same goals, don't have the same habits, not the same body type, blah, 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 blah. Right? So what I do, because you know that this is good advice, because I'm not telling people you need to do what I do. I'm telling people, do what you need to do. But I can tell you what I do also. I do an ice bucket in the morning. I do my breathing. I do my reading. I do my exercise every single day. But these are optimized to bring me closer to where I want to be.
Yeah. So the reason why I asked, right, is because like I just want to find out a bit more about like because your habits, right, to me really just remind me of someone who really wants to be at the top level, right? And it's something that's interesting, right? So I think one thing that I think you learned, was it 1 year or 2 years ago, was the this just for myself, right? Just to find out a bit more, like your training with Wim Hof, right? Like how was it, right? And how was mixing with the people around there who were like so got crazy enough, right, to go for that like ice baths every day, right? To want to like hike half naked in Antarctica, right? How was the experience during that period, man?
I think first and foremost, I like to learn from the source, because if I work with people, I am very concerned with purity of information. I'm very concerned with mastery, so I don't just, there are a lot of courses out there that teach you just how to brand and market, but I believe in delivering purity of value, right? Because I believe that if something has value over time, then it's always gonna sustain. There's always gonna be alignment, and it's gonna be around for a long time, and it's gonna make a real deep impact. So I'm never for courses that teach you a bit on how to brand yourself, but recycle information. I don't like that kind of stuff. Anything that's shallow will fall apart eventually. I think we all need to understand that. If you build a bridge and you build it using some cheap ass wood, then the bridge is gonna collapse. It's gonna kill a lot of people, including you, and then your reputation can flush down the toilet. So make sure when you build a bridge, you never use crappy materials. So I learned from Wim, because I heard of this thing. There was like, ice and, that kind of thing. I thought it was kind of challenging, right? I thought it was kind of interesting. And I like to embrace it. So I signed up for the course, not quite knowing what the fuck it was, right? I just thought, it's kind of cool. Once I go there, and then it was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sit this ice for 5 minutes now. I thought, oh, that's kind of cool, until you go in. Then you suddenly realize a very obvious thought. This fucking thing is cold, man. Fucking jeez. This is cold, right? It's very different from dipping your hand in the ice for 5 seconds and sitting in there for 5 minutes, which eventually became 10 minutes and then 15 minutes and more. And you start to realize it's really not so much about the ice. It's more a test of the mind. And that was why I embraced it. People going there for health reasons. People going there for spiritual reasons. I went there to push myself. I tell you, nothing clears the mind than sitting in a tub of ice. Because trust me, your brain doesn't find that many things to think about when you're in the ice. You become very, very present. So there were a lot of things that were interesting over there. You realize that your mind dictates a lot of whether you're going to succeed or not. You realize that if you prime your mind, you're going to be able to stay in ice cold, sub-zero for a long time. And if you don't, then basically you are unable to do it. So highly, highly crucial. That so many lessons that I learned, from Wim also. Really, the power of the human mind is pretty amazing. And being able to direct that in a purposeful fashion is very, very, very important.
Wow, that's damn cool, man. So I think like Wim Hof is like someone that like people know as the Iceman, right?
Do that, right? Does everyone need to do that? No, that's the key. You don't have to do that, right? It's just like here's the one thing I want to mention. I want to impart the wisdom. I don't need everybody to dress in a singlet, do the extreme wild shit that I do. It's kind of cool. Hopefully it is entertaining, right? But you don't have to do it in order to get somewhere. I think that's highly critical. You don't have to do it. Right? What you have to do, however, is to understand who you are, understand what actions you have to do, and do it on a frequent basis. Bring yourself closer to your goals. You don't have to copy me. I think that is highly important, because when you copy me, you're gonna be a pirated, poor version of me instead of the best version of you. I think that's very important.
Yeah, I think one thing is a lot of people always try to yes, they do try to model, but if you talk about like trying to copy every single thing that person is doing, right, and that's when you kind of lose yourself, right, and that's when you kind of lose in the game, right, in the long run. But that's not something that's sustainable, for sure, man. So I think, like, speaking of Wim Hof, someone that you learn from, right, could you share a bit more about some of your biggest mentors you have had in your life, and what are some of the biggest lessons you have learned from them throughout your entire journey thus far? All right.
So I would say first off was Marshall Thurber. Marshall Thurber taught me a lot. I met him years and years ago. He was the one. He was the one man that I would say just studying with him. So first of all, I think everybody here needs to understand that if you don't have a mentor right now, you need to find one. It's ultra critical. I call it the power of the third. And it's a very simple concept. If you could do it yourself, right? If you could truly do it yourself, you would already have done it. It's as simple as that. If you tried for something for 4 to 5 years and you still haven't gotten it, guess what the next 4 to 5 years is largely going to look like? Probably not. And consider the fact that every single successful person has found somebody. Albert Einstein had a mentor. Did you know that? But a smart fuck like him had a mentor. So Warren Buffett and Benjamin Graham. So just consider that, right? So everybody has had somebody they learn from. So Marshall Thurber taught me something very important. He taught me that we need to move from competition to collaboration. He showed me that together we are truly better. He showed me that there were principles in business that you could follow and abide by that can bring you much further, apart from just marketing tactics and techniques. So first person that changed my mind. My next mentor was Bill Allen. And Bill Allen is worth $500 million US. And Bill Allen had the amazing, generous heart to invite me to his California home, his mansion, and really show me around and teach me. And Bill Allen really changed my mind in terms of challenging what is and what is not possible. Bill showed me a lot of things I felt was not possible, and Bill showed me by his action that it was possible. I've other mentors. I started with Joe Bauer. Joe is an amazing friend, amazing mentor. We chat a lot. And Joe taught me about the way to persuade. He serves as an inspiration for me in his dedication to his craft. A lot of people know Joe for pitching and presentation, but he invited me to his suite, and I saw that a man who was already a multi-millionaire was up late at night preparing endlessly for something that he basically has been doing for 50 years. When mentors take you not just in front and to see the principles, but take you behind and you witness their thought process, their dedication, their mastery, their craft, right? You see a man right there. I think it's more amazing not to watch Jordan, someone like Michael Jordan, play. It's more amazing to see him arrive at the gym at 3, 4 in the morning, right? Be worth so much money and still practice. All of a sudden you learn about humility. You learn about the importance of practice. You learn that we are special yet not special. So Marc, right now, we might all think we're very special. But the day you stop exercising, the day you stop reading, the day, let's say, you do investing and stop checking the numbers, and you start believing that you're some kind of fucking demigod, that's the day where you get punched in the face. Because you're special in a way, but not special also. Make sense? You eat cyanide, you die. I guess you're not very fucking special. You eat fatty food, you get fat. I guess you're not very special. Make sense? So we are special. We are amazing. We have all our purpose. We have amazing talents. But in a way, it's also the things we do that makes us special. Make sense? And we stop doing those things. Then we realize very quickly we're not that special.
Yeah. The things we do, right? And ultimately it's about, like, a lot of people like to see the glam and glamour, but honestly it's like, I think one thing I love what you say is about how, like, it's not about what Michael Jordan was doing when he was playing on the court, right? It's about how he does, how he goes to the gym 3 to 4 a.m., how he takes the thousands of shots, right? Trying and failing all the time, right? And getting to where it is today. And that is where the true work lies, right? And that is what it truly takes, right? If you want to be at that level of success, right, that people crave for, right? So I think Mel, thanks for sharing so openly, right? I think you shared a lot of powerful insights, right? So one thing that was in my mind, right, before I think we take some of the questions from the audience, right, is I think a lot of people struggle with this one word, right?
Guys, please share this, okay? Please let me know how are you finding it so far. One of the things that our audience has stayed very through, just like I mentioned, all throughout. We have had increased our audience. Guys, do me a favor. If you can tag people that would be amazing. Have them come and watch this, even though you watch it maybe at the end of which, that's fine. Let me know how are you finding this. Is this valuable? What are you liking so far? If you hate it, also you can mention. Don't worry. Okay, I'm very open to hate also. It's totally fine. You won't affect my feelings. I got enough people in the world who love me now, hopefully. Yeah. Okay. So now at the same time, if you enjoy it, please let me know what you enjoy. Mention inside the chat. And if you have a question, more importantly, please ask the question inside. Just so I can see whether I can address it. Most of the time, I need to take questions in my X Factor marketing class and for my private clients. So, but I did this today to serve Marc. I did this today to serve the audience. So if you have a question, let me know. Cool. Yeah, Marc.
Yeah,
please.
this is a huge opportunity to ask questions from Melvin, man. I think he's someone that the answer is something that it always gets you to think on a different level, which is why I always enjoy coming to your Zoom sessions, learning from you, right, through your posts and everything. It's like things that I want to reflect about because I know that actually can get me to the next level, man. All right. So I think one question, I think a lot of people struggle, right? They have the desire to achieve that $1 million, right? To have to create a better relationship, right? To have that body, right? But the thing is, they have the desire, but somehow throughout that journey, right, they always lose one thing, which is called that motivation, right? There are just some days they don't feel like doing it and everything. So how would you advise someone like who is starting, right? And he just wants to, he has the desire, right? But he just doesn't seem to find that motivation or willpower every single day to do the required actions. What are some of the things that you might want to advise that person, right, to actually to get him or her to achieve the kind of results that they want?
First of all, you need to set a goal and forget it. And number two, right, fuck motivation. Right, the key is you want to set a goal and then you want to put it right at the back of your mind, because the goal is cool. But remember what I mentioned just now. The goal comes from goal, then action. A lot of people have fallen this the fucking law of attraction secret shit, where you think you can set a goal and somehow it is enough. Hey, hello, this is not genie in a bottle, right? You set a goal, that the action defines the goal, right? The action defines the goal. After you set a goal, there must be an action step to it. And the action must be done every single day. That's why it's called goals, actions, and habits, right? So the first key is you want to set the goal, you want to put it aside, focus every day on the action and the habit. Number two, that's the motivation trap. Fuck motivation. You see, the one thing I want to emphasize is passion. Passion is when I love what I do, right? And fall in love with the process, So I think of it as practicing. I think of it as every day I want to get better at this craft, right? When you spend too much time dedicating to the outcome, you rob yourself of a lot of things. You see, if I want to be a millionaire and I focus every day on a millionaire, every step I take towards $1 million reduces my level of motivation. Because when I have $999,000, I now have 1,000. I now run out of motivation. But if I fall in love with the things that I do, make sense? And I set the goal for $1 million just to move myself forward, then I will still love it after I hit the million, because then I set a new goal and move myself forward. But I'm doing it because I love what I do. I think that is critical, because if you only set an external goal, the day you hit it is the best and worst day of your life. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. The problem right now is we have a lot of people that don't understand this. Mastery, passion, that's the one thing that will propel you long in the future. The purpose of setting a goal is to hit it, then set another goal, and set another goal. But I hope you love what you do. You see, the fundamental thing is what sets me apart. This is why everyone likes following me. Because you damn well know I don't do it for the fucking fame. Now I get famous, but I think it's very shallow. Okay. Because why? Because they will love you, and then after a while, if anything happens, they will hate you afterwards. It's fucking transient shit. Okay. So first of all, some people do it for the fame. A lot of speakers do it for the fame. Because maybe when they were young, they felt a sense of self-esteem lack, and they want people to worship them. They probably should get some kind of therapy. Okay, I don't do it for the fame at all, because I realize it comes and it goes. That's the key. Number two, the money. The money is great until I now have money to do a variety of things I want to do. Then I realize, money doesn't change a person. There's another thing that I teach, right? I do a class on wealth psychology. Money doesn't change a person. Money makes you more of who you are. You see, a long time ago, I told a sad story about the fact that I like to eat chai fan. When I was broke, I eat a lot of chai fan. Then now I got a lot of money. You know what I realized? I still eat chai fan, brother. Yeah, but I eat more expensive chai fan on Deliveroo. I still order the same chai. Then suddenly I had a realization. Maybe I just like to eat chai fan. Correct. So money makes you more of who you are. The more money I have, look, last time I thought to myself, when I have money, maybe I go and buy a Balenciaga shirt, a Da Vinci shirt. Then you know what? Now I have a lot of money. Guess what I'm wearing? A singlet. So it just makes me more of who I am. So I make the money, not because like my needs or my expenses are damn fucking high, but I make the money because it serves as a benchmark for the amount of value I make. But I constantly think, hey, you know, how much better can I get? How much better? And I do it why? Mastery and passion. That's what drives me forward. Now, here's the thing, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I'll still be doing it, right? I'm aware that people seem to follow me and seem to think I'm fucking cool. It's important, yet largely very unimportant for me. It's great for building a brand. More people know who you are. But at the same time, it's some transient shit, you know. Well, it comes and it goes. I think a lot of people need to understand that. Celebrity status, first of all, you die, ain't nobody give a fuck. Second, people forget you pretty quick. And second of all, it's like, what kind of, like, you know, it's transient. It comes and goes. So, but if I fall in love with the process, fall in love with my clients, fall in love with delivering value, then that's going to be more lasting. And I like things that are more lasting.
Yep. Yep. I love that mindset, that whole mindset shift, right? A lot of people, and I feel that's why a lot of people lose motivation, right? Lose motivation because they don't really love what they're doing, right?
Yes.
And that's worse than anything else, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful, right? So I think we have a few questions from the audience, right? Yeah. So I think someone asked about like, hey Mel, I love your clarity of thought, right? And how you're able to articulate these concepts succinctly, right? So do you have any advice on how do you actually develop that clarity of thought?
They come from pondering. They come from study. They come from pondering a variety of things, right? I don't recycle it. I like to ponder. It needs to make sense to me. You know, I think things need to have substance. When it comes to me, I need something of real value, and I ponder, like, you know, what is the real meaning of this? Also, I don't ponder like this will make a good Facebook post. I don't ponder like, you know, this will be really cool on fucking Instagram. I ponder like, you know, is this something that I can execute and use in my life? Is it a principle that I can base? And plus, I'm all about wanting to make my own life and business, and that those are my clients better. You know, so I ponder it. If it makes sense to me, I can like, then I'm like, okay, cool. This is something that I can use, right? So all the things I share so far are things that I pondered before. I thought about before. You know, I think that's kind of important. I have a lot of notes on my phone where I take notes of things that, you know, that I'm just like thinking about. Like, does it make sense to me? Like, why is it? I like to discover the root of things, you know, and that's kind of it. You know, I like to discover why something happens.
The moment question, right? Something
like at the core of something, right? The deep core of something. That's one thing that I enjoy. And when you understand the core fundamentally, then all of a sudden you have clarity. I think that's where it comes from.
Okay, wonderful. I think that's a great answer. Like, because I think a lot of people, they are just so used to consuming, right? So that's something I see so often, right, around the community and all.
They consume and they regurgitate. They don't process.
Yes, they don't reflect on the time. They don't spend time to themselves to actually think through what they have learned, right? Actually, but that itself could actually be the most effective thing you do, right? Yeah. After learning the information, instead of just regurgitating and trying to memorize it, right? Like what we do in school usually. Right. Yeah. So one other question I think we have asked, how do you actually kick bad habits, right? I think just your general thoughts.
Oh, let's see if we can take any one of these questions. We can. How do you kick bad destructive habits? Super simple, right? Very. It is exceptionally simple. The first thing is to understand the cost by which it is costing you. The second thing is surround yourself with positive people. Some of the folks that allow you to, in a brutal fashion, allow you to understand the cost of it. Then at the same time, is how should we say this? How do you overcome bad destructive habits? Oftentimes, sometimes, this is the most fucked up thing. The destructive habit gets you into a pit where you're just like, man, my life is kind of fucked up. Like, I don't want this to continue anymore. I think sooner or later, every person, if they don't have the right support, reaches that level where it costs them so much, and all of a sudden they're like, you know what? I think there's too much of a price to pay. And that pit sometimes is one of the best places for you to discover a transformation. Oh. That's just the reality of it. You know,
sometimes that is what it needs.
I know. And you reach a pit and you're like, because every person has reached some place in the pit before, like, where you're like, man, I think I'm really fucked. I cannot continue this. Sometimes that's what is needed.
Wow, that's a very interesting insight, right? But I think a lot of people will think more of the tactical and everything, but you're like, dude, go to the depths, go to the pit, right? And then from there, right, you're going to transfer, you're going to go overcome the challenges and go get those good habits instead. All right. So I think Hunting has another question. So what's the tip-top reason that keeps your blazing fire burning on? The tip-top reason.
Top reason. Well, this is simple now. Very, very simple. Like when I say I work with elite people, like it's kind of an interesting thing to say. But the reason I say it is, in my X Factor marketing class, I actually walk people through a process. I have come to surrender to the mission and the purpose of what I believe is the purpose of my own life. I believe that this is why I'm here. I've gone through a lot of different things, and I realized that throughout all my entrepreneurial journey, I've worked with the best of the very best. And I realized that the better they are, the more elite they are, I'm in a position where I can help them break through the best. And after a while, it became exceedingly clear to me that my job is to help these great people become greater. And therefore, leaders become even more impactful, even more enlightened, and can help more people. So when I say my desire to be the best, is because I realize that this is the mission and purpose of my life. This is not some niche marketing idea. This is not some funnel I'm trying to create. This is not a hook that I'm trying to go or headline. This is my life. Like 80 years from now, 60 years from now, I'm still doing this. Because when something is a mission in your life, then you're still doing it later on. Does that kind of make sense? So I wake up every day and I think this is the function of my life. And so I do all the things that are needed in order to be the best that I can be so that I can better perform this function. So that's why I do it. I don't do it because I think it's fucking Instagram cool. I don't give a fuck. Because here's the thing, Marc. Some people think my Instagram is damn bloody cool. Some people think my Instagram is damn not cool. Who the fuck knows whether the thing is cool or not? How do we even know something is cool? Like right now, you handsome. I don't know. To your girlfriend, you are. To some people, you're not. Who the fuck cares? Right? Not value, remember, is subjective. Make sense? So I only care about the fact that this is my mission. This is my purpose. My goal in life is to find the audience that I can serve, best serve them to the best of my ability, fulfill my mission. And that's why I'm here. It's as simple as that. So the things I do is to make sure I'm in tip-top shape in order to serve the audience that I'm supposed to serve.
Yep. Wonderful, right? So I think the other question, right? I think one thing we've had, I think that'd be interesting, right? If you could share a bit about is what are some of the questions that will help us find our X factor?
Well, first and foremost, it's a personalized process. I happen to have a gift for listening to people. So, guys, if you're listening to this, we'll put up a link eventually. Or you guys can add me. If you want to find out about X Factor stuff, how you can stand out in the market, attract leads, you can come and add me. I want to spend the time here today instead of promoting my class to serve all of you. Okay, remember, if you want to find out this kind of thing, PM me. In fact, when you PM me, tell me what you like from this webinar tonight. I promise you, if you PM me, I will answer back. I take time actually to answer every single PM. Most of the time, because a long time ago, Marc, I tried to PM people. When I was a nobody. Then a lot of them motherfuckers did not reply me. So I know what it's like. Now, I don't always promise that I will always PM reply instantly. But I know what it's like, to have a dream and PM somebody and hope that they will reply. I'll do my best to PM back. How do you find an X factor? Understand that first of all, it exists. Second of all, right, it's you have a certain way of thinking, a certain childhood, a certain upbringing, a certain purpose, right? And it's all about finding it. So it could be your purpose, it could be the profession you do, it could be your delivery style, it could be your mission, it could be the prospects you serve, it could be the problem you resolve. It can be a variety of things. There is no one size fits all, which is why at the X Factor marketing class, I walk people through an entire process. And they self-awaken. That's the most beautiful thing. They self-awaken to the fact that, oh my God, shit, man, this is who I am. And, it's a beautiful process. In the beautiful process, remember, Marc, there's a beautiful quote. It says there are two amazing moments in a person's life. The day they are born and the day they discover why. At the X Factor, our goal is to help them discover why. Why are you here? What makes you special? Why do you do what you do? The day you understand that, everything clicks for you. Because you understand the world is fundamentally chaotic and complicated. And most of the time, we are struggling to discover what is our purpose or what is our place in this very complex world. The day you discover why, then you understand how you fit in to this entire matrix. And here's my function. And it's a beautiful moment.
Yep. Oh, I love it, man. So I think that's something that when people find their why, right, is like, shit, man, this is what I was born for, this is what I was born to do, right? And questions about how do I sustain motivation, right? What are the habits, what are the routines, all goes to you will get it, right? You'll find out, you'll figure it out, right? But once you find out your big why, right, the how becomes so much easier, and it becomes so much achievable, right, in whatever you want to do, man.
Yeah.
Right. So I think because we are running out of time, unfortunately, right?
Sure.
So I guess my community would love to have you maybe another time, right, with a part 2, right? But I think
I hope so.
I think yeah, for sure, man. Right.
I hope
I've been receiving like even like PMs like, oh, this interview is great and all, man, like serious. Right. So I think you like it for sure, man. I knew it, right? I knew it, right? I think could you just share? I think some of your closing words, right? Like one question I always have is, how do you advise people to handle overwhelm right now? Because I think right now there's a whole information barrage, right, of whatever that's going on, right? And like as in, I think that's one thing that hopefully could kind of close off with. And then like what might be some of your parting advice to some of the people here? Like a lot of them are starting out in their space of entrepreneurship, investing, wanting to create a better life. So what would be some of your closing words for this group of people, man?
Okay, first of all, there's no such thing as overwhelm. Okay, remember when you eat, you cannot put 3 forks in your mouth at the same time. You can only put 1 fork in your mouth at the same time, right? So there is no such thing as fucking overwhelm. Okay, therefore, overwhelm is when you're confused and you are wanting to do a variety of things all at once. I think the most important thing you need to understand is when it comes to overwhelm, you need to tell yourself, I can only do one thing at one time. That's it, right? So then you prioritize and then you ask yourself, what's the one thing I can do now? What's the smallest thing that I can do now? Step by step by step by step. That's all. There's no sense of overwhelm. Imagine a buffet. You're overwhelmed by the food. By the end of the day, you got to start somewhere, right? Then you got to eat the food piece by piece, right? You know, fucking you like overwhelm is a mental thing. But understand, at the end of the day, you're only going to do it piece by piece by piece. Ultra critical. Overwhelm comes when you want to do all of it at once, but it's impossible. So if you want to master something, very, very simple. Decide what you want to do right now. First step, complete that, move on to the next thing. Complete that, move on to the next thing. The internet is both a joy and a curse. The internet allows us to believe we can have all the things all at once. But the human being cannot process that. We cannot, right? We cannot. We can only do things one at a time, right? So therefore, we have overwhelmed. But the moment we accept and say, you know what, fuck it, I can only do one thing at one time. Let's do it. Let's complete it. Let's recharge. Let's do it. Let's complete it. Let's recharge. So one of the things that I wrote recently is that the amount of work you do is in direct proportion to the amount of time you stay disconnected. When you are constantly connected to the internet, you have an overwhelm. If you're in the business of creation, writing a book, shooting a video, doing a bunch of different things, and you stay fucking connected all the time, you're never going to get it done. Because you're always taking in new information. Fuck new information. Right? Because why? In the moment of creation, you need the focus and the dedication to that specific one thing you're doing right now. By the way, the disconnection and the connection over connectedness is the number one reason why relationships suffer. Make sense? Research shows that people fuck even when fucking they're thinking about work. Before fucking they are using their phone. Alright, after fucking they for sure use their phone. It's like what the fuck, man? Seriously. That is just ridiculous. So the ability to disconnect is ultra important. So they'll say that. Now for all the people that are starting out, here's the advice I have for you. Embrace the process. It's first of all, a lot of people don't understand how fucking difficult. Now ask yourself this. So this is some deep advice here. You want to be an entrepreneur? Ask yourself, for real? Or do you like the ideal? You see, being an entrepreneur is not about having hot girls and nice cars and all this kind of thing. Being an entrepreneur is like being a professional athlete. The pussy part, the profit part, is a very small proportion of it. The real life is not very fun. Make sense? The real life is not very fun. Never believe the BS. It's a lot of like struggle, insecurity, studying when nobody's watching, work that doesn't work out, all of these kind of shit. Do you like it? Do you like doing this kind of shit? Professional athletes, a large part of it is not nice cars and big checks. A lot of it is like doing square passing, in the gym, eating food that is kind of bland, sleeping early, despite being a fucking grown-ass adult, showing up the next day, training again. Do you like this shit? If you don't like it, then don't be a professional athlete. I think that's the first key. What are your expectations about being an entrepreneur? I'm sorry, I love Russell Brunson. He's a great marketer. He says, you're one funnel away. No, you're not. You're not one funnel away. Sorry. It's a seductive dream. You're not. Yep. It is very challenging. And if you're not willing to stay with this process for 5, 7, 10 years, then don't be an entrepreneur. Now, if you're willing to sacrifice, and so a lot of it sacrifice, right? You got to give up a lot of things. You know, you got to give up security. You got to give up, spending your time doing a lot of dumb shit. Are you willing to do that? You see, a lot of people have goals, but here's a crucial thing: are you willing to pay the price? If you're willing to pay the price, that's the beginning of it. When I see people very excited to be an entrepreneur, I know they have not thought it through. You should show up with a face of slight somberness. When I see a person go, yeah, man, can't wait to start a business. Obviously, they do not know what the price is. If you show up and you are like, all right, cool, let's train. That's usually a person that's going to stick around. Do you kind of understand, Marc? If you're about to embark right now on a 42-kilometer march and you are very excited, you are either a Superman or you do not know it's 42. You have never done this before. Make sense? You have never done this before. Because anyone who has done it before is like, this is gonna be a bitch. This is gonna be hard, right? And they're mentally preparing, and some fucking new ass guys like, oh my god, I can't wait. This is so cool. You're gonna go, this motherfucker not gonna make it past 3 kilometers. Make sense? So that's why the moment you accept it, you're like, man, this is gonna be a real fucking bitch right now. It's gonna be hard as fuck. You know, that's a good place to start. Once you moderate your expectations, you're willing to study, you're willing to sacrifice, you're willing to make mistakes, you're willing to get beat down and come back up because you love it. You wouldn't be doing anything else apart from it. Then you can call yourself an entrepreneur. That's what I would say. And majority of these people watching, I don't know how many of them are willing to do it. And this is why very few people are winners. Because it's not easy. It's not easy. I think that's the key. And here's the thing, even when you reach the top, right, it gets even harder to stay and to reach the next level. So you know what the whole summation of this entire interview is? It's fucking hard. Do you really want to do this? You don't really want to do this. Come on. Or do you? We can tell by your actions. This shit is hard. I think not enough people say that. Very inspiring words from a lot of people. And nobody comes out and says, this fucking thing is hard, man. It's not easy.
Yeah. That's a mic drop right there. Right. So yeah, I think that's a message that should be shared more often for sure, man. Like this is something that I'm definitely going to repeat for people to actually get in your heads that like being in this space, right? Want to be an entrepreneur, wanting to be that top 1%, right? It's not as sexy and glamorous as it seems, right? But it's about like the kind of failures you have to go through, the downs, right? And
this is why I don't spend so much time about the fame. Because I understand. It's about the work that I do that is more important. Fuck the fame. Jeez. Fine, you like me, that's fine. Come take notes. For all the work I do, that's more important. So that's kind of what I focus on.
Yep. Right. Wonderful. So, all right. Thanks, Melvin, for that interview. I think there was a lot of insights there. I think that you already got, even myself, a lot of things that I could start reflecting and thinking on. I think the audience loved it. Right. So,
I hope so. Like, hey guys, if you actually like it, if you like it, I'm going to make everybody a very simple offer now, not like sales offer. If you add me from this and drop me a PM, because a lot of people add me, then I don't know who they are. So a lot of time I never accept. But if you add me and let me know that you came from Marc, then there's a high chance I will accept, okay? Because I actually have 1,000 unaccepted friend requests. I kid you not. Like I'm not trying to act like a hot shot, but there's 1,000, but I never accept. I don't know where they come from. I don't know who they are. You know. Sometimes you get these like sexy ass girls that squeeze their kids together and like who not like spam. So I never accept, right? If you don't know, I will just type my name inside. Melvin. So okay, then you can see me. If you add me and you tell me that you came from this interview, you share a little bit of what you learned from here, I will add you back. And if you want to find out more about X Factor, you can come and ask me also. But I really want to acknowledge Marc. Today was more about serving your people. I did the best to hopefully share as much impactful content as I could. I think if people were to go back and think and reflect a little bit about the stuff that I shared, a lot of it comes, it gets better on second and third listening.
Yeah, I think something that it's not just like one time you hear, you get everything. You really have to go and think and reflect.
And third listening. Trust me. So hopefully today was useful. And if you guys want me to come back, let me know. See how to make my schedule work. And I'll be happy to come back. So.
All right, wonderful. So, thanks again so much, Melvin. Right, it was a joy, it was a pleasure, right, interviewing our yeah. So for the audience, there, I'll see you soon, right? And remember to thank Melvin, drop him a PM, and him as a friend, right? And there's so much going to learn from him, right? I think this interview was just a tip of the iceberg, right? There's so much more insights and things that you can learn, man. All right, so with that, bye everyone. I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.